All right, let's dive into a story that takes the idea of motherhood and twists it into something absolutely terrifying. We're going to break down Shaitan Ki Santan, which translates to the devil's child. It's a Hindi horror story about a cursed pregnancy, a demonic deal, and a secret that unravels in the most chilling way you can imagine. Right from the get-go, the story hits you with this bone-chilling prophecy. It sets a really apocalyptic tone. This isn't just some ghost story, you know? The stakes here are literally the end of the world, and it all centers around the birth of one single unholy child. So let's meet our main character. This section is all about Aisha, a woman whose life is already filled with tragedy, and that's before the real supernatural nightmare even kicks off. So you gotta understand, Aisha is in an incredibly vulnerable spot. Her husband just died in an accident, she's recovering from a really bad fall, and on top of all that, she's pregnant, all alone, and has to rely completely on a new caretaker named Vimla. This isolation is just eating away at her, feeding this growing paranoia that something is very, very wrong. And then, things start getting really weird. Her fears get a jolt of reality when this strange woman shows up and does this act of, well, dark magic right at her front gate. A lemon with a nail hammered through it, that is a classic, unmistakable sign of a curse. The danger is no longer just in her head, it's on her doorstep. This is where the horror really gets under your skin, because the threat moves from outside her home to inside her own body. During a routine ultrasound, the doctor sees something impossible. Just for a second, he sees horns on the fetus. He writes it off as a glitch, but for Aisha, that image plants the seed of absolute terror. The promise of a new life is starting to feel like a curse. Okay, so any doubt about what's happening, it's gone. Poof. Aisha gets hunted down and literally abducted. And her captors, they don't want her money. They don't even seem to want to hurt her, at least not yet. They just point at her pregnant stomach. Their motive couldn't be clearer or more terrifying. So this leads us to the central question, right? Who are these people? Are they a cult? And what in the world do they want with her unborn baby? Well, the mystery is about to be completely blown apart. And here we go. We get the answers. When Aisha wakes up, she's in this dark, creepy cave, and she's face to face with the cult's leader, a woman named Maya. And Maya reveals the horrifying truth behind her pregnancy. Maya just drops this absolute bombshell. The baby Aisha has been carrying, this baby she's been protecting and loving, it isn't actually hers. Her original child died in that fall down the stairs. The life growing inside her now is something else. So here's how this twisted deal went down. While Aisha was in a coma, her grieving, desperate mother was approached by the cult. They gave her this impossible offer, a demonic pact to bring back the baby she'd lost. It's a soul for a soul. Kalsura, their demon god, would reanimate the fetus, but in exchange, the child would belong to him. It's a horrifying look at how grief can be twisted and used against someone. So who is this Kalsura? He's the demon god that this cult worships. And he's not just about chaos. He has a very specific goal. He needs a human vessel to bear his heir so he can continue his dark lineage on Earth. And Aisha, without ever knowing it, has become that vessel. And this is that moment, you know, where all the weird little details suddenly click into place. That yellow thread her mother gave her, it was a binding spell. Vimla, the sweet, forgetful caretaker, nope, a cult member, a spy sent to watch her. And that divine water she was supposed to drink every day, it was all part of the ritual. Aisha was a prisoner in her own home, betrayed by the very people she was supposed to trust. But just when you think all hope is lost, that there's no way out, the story throws another massive curveball at us. The person who seems responsible for all this is about to reveal one last shocking secret. Aisha is dragged in front of the demon Kalsura himself, this monstrous being. And the third cult member, the one who's been masked this whole time, pulls back her hood. And it's her own mother. The ultimate betrayal. It looks like she really did sell her own daughter and grandchild to a demon. But then something totally unexpected happens. Her mother screams enough and lunges forward, but not to help the demon. She cuts the yellow binding thread from Aisha's neck. The spell is broken and Kalsura absolutely loses it, erupting in rage. And this is where we get the final gut-wrenching twist. The cult leader, Maya, was lying.
Aisha's mom did have a moment of weakness. She considered the deal, but in the end, she backed out. So Maya used dark magic to disguise herself as the mother, tricking Aisha into completing the ritual. The betrayal was all a lie. Her mother's love was real after all.
And with her final words, she admits it. She admits she faltered, but she's here to make it right. She turns to face the demon she accidentally led into their lives, ready to sacrifice herself to give Aisha one last chance to escape.
But her mom's sacrifice, it only buys her a few precious moments. The spell might be broken, but that unholy life inside Aisha is still coming. That terrifying prophecy, it has to be fulfilled. Aisha flees the cave, heartbroken and in absolute agony. She makes it into the forest, but she trips and collapses in the mud. The labor is just too much, and right there, alone in the wilderness, she's forced to give birth. In a final, tragic twist, her life ends at the exact moment this new life begins. As the sun comes up, we see Aisha lifeless in the mud, and next to her is the newborn. But this is no normal baby. It's not crying. Instead, covered in blood, it slowly, impossibly, stands up on its own 2 feet. And then he appears. The demon called Zora, having dealt with the others, walks into the clearing. He survived. And now he stands before his heir, the devil's child, finally born into the world.
And that's where the story just leaves us. The prophecy came true. The heir has arrived. It's such a terrifying, open-ended conclusion that leaves you with one final, chilling question. The prophecy said humanity would end. So what happens now?